4418. That's 1-800-300-4418.
The Experience Pros Radio Show, home of the original Fan Braggin' Fridays. Take just 20 seconds to become a business revolutionary by sharing a Fan Braggin' story of great customer service by using the hashtag FanBrag or calling the Fan Braggin' hotline at 855-FAN-BRAG, FANBRAG. Now back to Angel and Eric, the Experience Pros.
Very nice indeed to have you on the program with us. Let's turn our attention to something that is maybe not my most favorite. We're talking about meetings. Meetings. If you listen to this program for any long period of time, I'm not a big fan of the meeting, not because I think that meetings are inherently good, bad, or otherwise, but that most meetings are not as helpful or as effective as they can be. A whole bunch of people come and hang out and they rehash, well, I think we should do this. Well, I think we should do that too, but I think we should do it this way. And before you know it, it's a colossal waste of time. That being said, it doesn't have to be. And I'm the first to acknowledge we spend a lot of time talking about how to make your meetings more productive, how to be better and more efficient with them, and so on. But let's talk about this. John Rampton, who is a VIP entrepreneur at entrepreneur.com, he says, you just added a meeting into your schedule. That's always good for your business. But now you want to make sure that it's going to be productive for you. May not sound like a big deal, but 67% of executives, myself included, believe that meetings can be failures. And even worse, unproductive meetings cost businesses a whopping $37 billion. That's billion with a B annually. If you want to make sure that your meeting is productive, here are several things you can do after booking the meeting. Number one, research the attendees. I love this idea. First of all, there's a great technology out there. If you're not familiar with it, it's called meetup.com. Meetup, MEETUP.com. And it does it affords you two different things that are really cool. It allows you to know who's attending because it's an RSVP engine. I always ask Angel to say the RSVP in French because it sounds so great when she says it. I'll do my best. It's répondez, s'il vous plaît. And it's asking for a response. Are you going to attend the meeting or are you not? If they say yes, now you can research the attendees. And the other thing is that Meetup, it allows you to go do just that research. You can find out more information about them on their profile. You can look them up on LinkedIn. You can find out all kinds of stuff. And now you know who you want to connect with and perhaps why. Set aside an hour or so to Google the people and research their businesses. Check out their bios and their social channels, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. Understand who they are, what they bring to the table, and most importantly, understand how you can help them. It cuts down on the time spent on introductions and gives you the insights needed to have a more effective, if not more creative, meeting. Number two, set clear objectives. The objectives of the meeting should be crystal clear from the get-go. Simply asking what's the purpose of this meeting helps you set those objectives. If the question can be answered within 5 words or fewer, you're on the right track. We're all kind of getting together because we really want to sit down and talk about how people are feeling about the. No, that is distracting and a waste of time. Okay. Number 3, set the agenda for the meeting and the time allocation for each item on the agenda. That the best way to achieve your objective is to have that agenda. It's going to provide a direction for the meeting. It's going to let the attendees know what to expect. And every part of the meeting should have a sub-agenda with key points and milestones. Set time limits on each agenda item, including the contributions from the attendees. That ensures the meeting stays on point so that it doesn't overrun. And by the way, I'm not a big fan of Robert's Rules of Order. If you're familiar with that, that's the very formal way of having a meeting, and all those in favor, aye, all those who are opposed, nay. Robert's Rules served its place, and I think it still serves its place in a number of ways. But for an informal meeting, a staff meeting, or a gathering of minds in an industry, I don't think it's necessary. Understand the expected outcomes. Make sure that everyone knows why the meeting is important, and focus on the impact that all parties are going to be involved in. Unlike your objective, this looks like a big picture strategy. The reason this is important is because it will keep the attendees engaged. The last thing you want for them is to believe that the meeting was useless. So what is the expected outcome? Angel and I say it this way, and we say this also when you're talking to people in a networking environment or talking to people at a one-on-one meeting. And you start with this phrase: as a result of doing business with me, most people achieve this. Or, you give the expected outcome on that side. Number 5, stay on top of the news. Watch the news, scan the relevant headlines prior to the meeting for everything relevant to you, the attendee, and their company, and the direction of the meeting. Be certain that you're informed and proactive. It is unbelievably embarrassing to say, I didn't know that, when you get to a meeting. I'll give you an example. Case in point, I mentioned it already because I was embarrassed. A week ago, the iPhone 10 or X, whatever you're calling it, was announced. Apple got up and they gave their idea of how it was going to be and what was going to happen and all that kind of stuff. And everybody was talking about the iPhone 10. And I did not do my due diligence on the storyline. So I came out and said, Apple just, introduced the iPhone 10 and I'm going to get one. And only the next day did I realize that Apple also introduced the iPhone 8. I had no idea. And I was embarrassed by the conversation because they're like, how did you announce the 10 without hearing about the 8? It's a good question. So stay on top of the news. The next point, confirm the meeting. The day before everybody gets together, do a little due diligence. Send an email. I'm looking forward to meeting with you. Thank you so much for the time. Remember, and if there's a dress code, if there's any other relevant piece of information, you should let that go a day in advance so that everybody's on the same page. Don't forget to confirm your conference room if the meeting is in person. It's horribly embarrassing and unprofessional if you arrive to the room and it's already booked, right? That's not my story, but I just imagine what would happen there. Send out the agenda prior to the meeting. Again, you have an agenda, but go ahead and send it out. When I receive an agenda for a meeting, I love to go over it the day before so that I can say, I know what it is I'm going into, and I can kind of familiarize myself and prepare responses that may come up based upon what I see on the agenda. Send specific instructions on the actions that you want people to take before the meeting, if that's relevant, and ask them to brainstorm ideas and gather relevant information, or send reports for people to review, yes, before the meeting. And then finally, test run your meeting. Complete a test run. This includes making sure you're familiar with the tools you're going to use. If the meeting's online, know how GoToMeeting or WebEx or Zoom works. Various web meeting solutions support different types of documents. What if you use a platform that doesn't support your PDF, but instead only uses images like a JPEG or a GIF or GIF, whatever you call that? Make sure that you support, you know what's going on. Does everybody have the technology in order to be a part of the meeting? Have you tested your slide deck in PowerPoint? And what happens if your PowerPoint goes down? Are you still capable of having an intelligent conversation about the meeting? All of those things are really significant in order to make sure that your meeting goes well. And then let me swing the pendulum back down to what if you're doing a one-on-one or you're at a networking event, you've scheduled this meeting, you've done the research on the person, you know what you're going to do, everything is all in line, you've got everything good. The next question is, and again, we covered it a little bit, what is your desired outcome, right? What would you like the end result to be? Because if you just say we're meeting for the sake of meeting, folks, don't have that meeting. You don't need a meeting for the sake of meeting. But if you have a meeting for the sake of drawing closer, building up a relationship, or closing the deal, then by all means, make sure that closing the deal is on the agenda so that you don't leave money on the table. That's a combination of my thoughts and the thoughts of John Rampton from entrepreneur.com on how to make a meeting productive after you've booked it. We'll be back, put a bow on this thing, wrap it up for the day in our next segment. Don't go anywhere. This is the Experience Pros Radio Show, home of positive business talk.
You're listening to the Experience Pros Radio Show, America.